Today I'm going to show you how I made this really cool scarf. This is the squishiest, most fun pattern. It looks really complicated, but it's super simple. And we are going to see how to make it. I've already cast on 11 stitches and I used the long tail method to cast the stitches on. Okay, so let's see how to make this particular stitch pattern. It's a 2-row repeat, and in the first row we're going to knit 3, and then we're going to bring our yarn in front and we're going to slip the next stitch. That just means we slip it from one needle to the next. We put the yarn in back and we continue knitting. And we knit for 3. And we bring our yarn in front. We slip as if to purl. Yarn in back, knit 3. And that completes row 1 of this stitch pattern. Row 2, we knit 1, yarn in front, we slip the stitch, yarn in back, we knit 3. Let's look at this a little more closely. So we are inserting our working needle to the front like we were going to make a purl stitch. But we're going to take that yarn that we've brought to the front and we're not going to loop it through. We're just going to wrap it and take it to the back. And then we knit our 3 just like normal. And then we bring the yarn to the front and we slip that stitch purlwise, take the yarn to the back and knit the remaining stitch. And that is the end of our row 2 repeat. Our stitch pattern is really starting to take shape. We can really see now how it's setting up, and it's perfectly acceptable to continue knitting in this pattern in one color, but let's see how it is to add a second color and introduce a stripe. I want you to notice that the working yarn and the tail are both to the right side of the fabric. And we are on a row 1 row of this stitch pattern. And that's when we're going to add the new color. So we join the yarn just like always, and we knit our first 3 stitches. Notice that I'm holding the tail of the new color with the working yarn of the new color. This is to make weaving in ends a little bit easier. Okay, now look at that. Usually I would slip that stitch, and what did I do? I knitted. So what I want you to see is that on a color change, I'm simply going to knit every single stitch. It doesn't matter what the stitch below it is. Every stitch on the first row, when you introduce a new color and a stripe like this, you knit. And this will give you a beautiful, smooth transition. Now we're on the row 2 part of our pattern, and we are simply going to follow the pattern like normal. So I did a knit 1 and a slip 1, and here we are doing our knit 3. Notice that I carefully pick up both of those loops because I have 2 loops in one stitch where I have included the tail with the working yarn. So slipping both of those loops, and now I'm going to knit. Turn the work, and now we're back in the pattern. But look how I have this beautiful, smooth transition. Okay, we're back on row 1. So here we go. Knit 3, and see that's a double loop. Just knit both of those. And yarn in front, slip purlwise, yarn in back, knit 3. That's a double loop. Make sure that you knit both of the loops in one stitch. Yarn in front, slip it purlwise, and knit 3. And look how pretty that is. Now look at your wrong side. I mean, you can totally tell that this now has a very definite right side and wrong side. And this is row 2 of the repeating pattern. And we just follow that all the way across, which was a knit 1, yarn in front, slip. Now we're going to knit 3. Yarn in front, slip it purlwise, knit 3. This is a really fun pattern. I highly recommend this. Once you have done the 2-row repeat a couple of times, you will feel very comfortable doing this. If it feels like too much to do the stripes, you don't have to do the stripes. Just knit everything in one color and get a feel for that. Look how pretty that is. And all of the tails are off to one side. This is your best practice when you're joining colors in any kind of stripe or color block. Always join on the same side. And clearly this is the wrong side of our fabric. I've brought the original scarf in and I'm laying the right side of the fabric next to the wrong side of the fabric, and look at the difference. Look at the beautiful smooth transition on the right side, and look how you can see all of that work where we've joined yarn on the back side. This is because the back side, or the wrong side, is showing the purl bumps. And on the right side, because we have knit all of the stitches where we've joined that new color, it's perfectly smooth. And even though we're technically not following the pattern in the process of joining, it just disappears and you don't see it. The technique of knitting the row or the round every time you add a new color is something that's not talked about often, but it does give you the smoothest transition and I think the prettiest right side of your fabric. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I do have a pattern that accompanies this particular technique, and I will link to it below. And happy knitting!